What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be going over a brief introduction and kind of explaining how I set up my FightLite Industries Aries Defense Mission Configurable Rifles, as you see here. These are not how they come straight out of the box. I've made some improvements, some modifications, and I'm just going to kind of briefly go over those. I've gotten a lot of questions and comments about them and how I've got the weapons to run so well. So essentially, you see two different configurations which are common in my setups. One, you see here, this is the older generation. It actually has still marked on the receiver as an Aries Defense logo, but essentially it's the same weapon. There's been some component improvements over the years, but I installed an M60 bipod, which you see here. Very stable, very sturdy. It kind of is a more heavier duty setup compared to what you would really need to run, but I am a fan of LMGs or light machine gun type variations. I put Knight's Armament rail covers on the handguards, and kind of going over how I installed the M60 bipod. I have gotten questions about it. So essentially what I did is, I believe it is a Silencer Co. M&P 22 half-by-28 thread extension. I installed that, and it is 0.75 inches in length, which is the perfect diameter for an M60 bipod. Now, the bipod yoke doesn't sway back and forth because there's no sight post here, which would limit the travel, unlike a real M60 machine gun. So basically what I did is I drilled and tapped the actual bipod for a small thread pitch. I believe it was actually 8/24 was the actual thread pitch I used, and I just put a set screw in there and put a crush washer in there, put an extended A2 bird cage on there, and torqued it. I used Strike Industries crush washers. They seem to be the most robust crush washers out there for the AR series weapons. But yeah, installed it and it's worked great ever since. Haven't had any issues with it, operating it. But basically it's not an actual LMT, but it is the government style SOP mod stock, actually on both the weapons. The Tapco saw a pistol grip, but Tapco hasn't been in business, so you really can't get those pistol grips anymore. And of course, I put the Fostech Echo triggers inside all of the MCRs that I currently have. It's a really good trigger. It has 3 positions, safe, semi, and then the fire when you pull, and then the fire when you release. So that has been a really good setup. Other than that, it's all stock MCR. This is essentially, I believe, 4th gen, so it doesn't have the steel reinforced feed lip installed on the actual receiver itself, but I haven't had any issues with it. It has the latest variation of bolt and feed roller, which did help with some of the feeding issues, but also, I always calibrate my links and ensure that I can strip the rounds out of each link, which is 2 fingers, and that helped solve all the feeding issues that these weapons have had in the past. So that's how I kind of set this first MCR up. Now, I'll go over the second MCR. Essentially, this one, I put an actual Strike Industries 4-inch barrel extension on there. Doesn't really serve any purpose, doesn't give you any advantage as far as barrel length. It's just an extension, so it doesn't give you any increased velocity or anything like that. But I use it to use the Research and Testing Works, they call it RAT Works, the AUG Steyr Armée Universal Gewehr bipod assembly. So in order to use it where it won't interfere with the gas components, the little gas expansion chamber here, or the gas regulator, Essentially, you have to use a barrel extension for this bipod. Unfortunately, the M60 bipod, it has a wide enough base on the yoke where no barrel extension or modification is required. I machined this down inside to have about an 1/8 inch lip from the standard AUG configuration, which the machining goes down to about halfway, so that way I can use 2 Strike Industries crush washers. Nothing fancy there, just crush washered it on with an extended A2 bird cage. But this bipod is very lightweight and quite robust actually. It is 60-61 billet, but I really like it. You can really wield the weapon without it being too cumbersome, even though it has a 4-inch extension on it. And then the newer design rails I'm actually not fond of. So what I did is I took some standard Knights Armored rail covers, sanded down all the ribs, and replaced the factory cap socket screws. Are actually a star pattern screw. The original variation was just a standard Allen head, but the new pattern is basically a Torx bit pattern. But I replaced those with enlarged cap socket screws and actually just installed custom Knights rib panels, 11 rib panels, in between the top rail and the side rails, and they're rock solid. They're not going anywhere, and it kind of adds to the design. It almost gives it like a SOCOM Mod 1 Block 2 kind of ish feel to it and look to it. So kind of a GWAT era setup. Same, just like the other one, SOP Mod government stock. This one I just left the A2 pistol grip, standard configuration on it. For those that aren't familiar with the Fightlite, I have one of the mag adapters for all the Fightlite that I have, and essentially what that does is you're able to use the 100 round, or as seen here, the 200 round trapezoid pattern box magazine. It's got that trapezoid pattern interface that goes into that magazine bracket, so you can use the 200 round ammunition boxes with the weapon, so it really adds to your capacity and increases the amount of rounds that you're able to carry on board with the weapon. But it is quite heavy, so you get a bigger belt without having to have belts draped over your forearms or coming from that of a bandolier. So I do have that as an option for all the Fightlite. This bipod assembly actually has multiple positions. You can pull it out to as long as you want to go. The M60 does as well. It goes pretty high, but it should have enough positions for all your different links of pull and body types out there in order to give you an accurate sight picture when your weapon is set up in the bipod extended or the bipod deployed position, where you're going to be either shooting on the prone or shooting from some sort of support, from like a barrier, a table, a shooting bench, that sort of thing. So those are the two common types of setups I have for my Fightlite. If you have any questions about them, leave them in the comments down below. Have a lot of experience running these weapons in different conditions with different types of ammunition, and kind of solve the majority of the issues that people have with the system. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.